Hi everyone. Sorry it's been a long time between the question and answer bit, but we're tied up with doing other things, and of course we have a new Purple album coming out in 2 or 3 weeks, and that takes a lot of time up. Anyway, we've got a few more questions here, and we'll endeavour to get some answers to you that you'll find either informative or funny or hopefully truthful. Anyway, the first one we've got here is from Ivan Eduardo Araya Gomez. Some name. He said his 4 favourite drummers were Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, Cozy Powell, and Brian Bennett. Well, the first 3 would be familiar to most of you. Brian Bennett, maybe not so much. Wonderful drummer, but from a little earlier on in rock and roll than, say, Cozy or myself. He's a drummer with the Shadows. I had a great pleasure of meeting Brian, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that. He's a very smart guy. He realised just being a drummer in that situation, not a writer, he had to start looking after his later life. So he learnt composition. He learnt lyrical music and became very good at it. Good on you, Brian. The thing is, if you asked me to put these 4 drummers in a 1, 2, 3, 4, well, that's sort of difficult because they're all so different. I can only do it like this. Krupa, Gene Krupa, number 1, just because he was the first guy, and the first guy for me. Buddy Rich, number 2, because I found Buddy, thanks to finding Gene. But remember, Buddy's working on a different level. Let's get that straight. Cozy I knew quite well. Lovely fella. Liked to drive too fast, but wonderful drummer. And the most amazing thing about Cozy was he wasn't a big guy. Very similar size to me, a little thinner. And I couldn't pick up his drumsticks. It was like tree trunks. I just never worked out how he could play with sticks that big. But he did, and he did it very, very well. Great drummer. I say Brian was there at the beginning of British rock and roll. And he came from a jazz background, but he ended up with the Shadows seat and had a very good life out of it too. So that's the only way I can answer it. Here's one from Glenn Denver. Are there any unreleased tracks from the Come Taste the Band album? As far as I'm aware, no. I'd have to sit down with the old master multi-tracks and find out. I think we basically used everything we had. It's always fun going back and looking though. You find some hidden little gems or some absolute catastrophes, and you realise why you didn't release it. So I don't think so, no. Here's one from Uriah Mador. He's asking about the regime of practice and how I got to be the way I am, how I play. Did I get it through practice? No, I didn't. I never had time to practice. From the age of 17, I was on the road. Remember, I didn't start till I was 15. I had 2 years in a little local amateur band, and at 17, I was with a professional band, working virtually every night and traveling. And so I learned everything that I could do after the formative years of just picking up stuff I could from the television and the radio. I would get from watching the other drummers that we would be sharing the bill with. And again, picking up stuff I liked from records, listening to them. So I never had time to sit and practice. My practice was on the stage. And that's where I learned everything. And I've always said that's invaluable. Because it's not about learning what to do. It's about learning what not to do. And that just comes from the experience of being on stage all the time. And you soon work out what works and what doesn't work. And where if you overplay, you can destroy a song. And if you don't play anything, you can make the song boring. It all comes down to that learning process. Maria, I'm sorry. No, I didn't practice. And I probably don't practice like I should to this day. It's not in my nature. I'm not interested in it. I see some wonderful drummers down there whose technical precision is just beyond my scope of consciousness. I just don't get it. All I know is that when I play, I make myself happy, and I hope make a few other people happy too. And that for me is enough. There you go. And linking on to that last question, I have something from Jose Ruiz. Got to be Spanish, but he lives in Ireland. Oh well, that's Irish for you. And it really is related to that last question, asking about practice. I'll quantify what I said in the last question, though, is practice. You know, what's right for me, what's worked for me. I can't explain it, but practice is a pretty good thing to do if you have the time and you can devote yourself to it. You will get better. This is from Den Den. Hi, Den Den. It's about how I orchestrate my drum parts for the songs that we record, and then obviously some of which get taken onto the stage. Well, I don't think of it like that. I don't think of it as orchestration. I think of it as the only thing that would make the song work properly. I'm not always right, but that's the way I approach it, you know. It's not that complicated. It isn't for me anyway. I hear a song when we're creating it and it makes me play one way. And generally that's the right way. If I'm so far out that it's ruining the song for the other guys, they'll tell me. And I'll try and find a different solution. But there's no conscious thought about it. It just sort of happens. This is from Darius Aquilani. It's about drum tuning. Oh God, I can't tell you anything about drum tuning. We all have a different set of ears on our heads and we all hear things differently. There are so many different ways you can tune a drum. At the end of the day, if you like the sound of it, then that's it, it's in tune. Part of his question was, you know, having the top and bottom heads, different tensions. I don't do any of that. I just make sure that when I hit the drum, it's a true note. It's not trying to find two different notes on the same drum. So whether that's having both heads in complete unison tension-wise, I don't know. I just wait till it sounds right and I stop twisting the key. Sorry, that's all I can tell you. This is from Mirap. He wants more. He wants more backstage stuff and odd bits and pieces that I may have videoed. Well, that's great, but you know, every time I do something like that, I have to get clearance from all the people involved. You know, they're my friends, and I'd hate to release anything that would upset them or embarrass them. So it's not as easy as you think it is. I do keep going through old tapes and old computer files, and when I find something that I think is joyful, informative, and won't hurt anybody, then I'll stick it out there. But other than that, some things do remain private. This one from Ahit. I think that's the right way of saying it. Many of these questions have got they're not one question, they're 4 or 5 questions all tagged together. And I couldn't possibly answer every point in every question, so I'm just picking the points I think are more interesting. This guy had some physical problems, you know, to the fact that he couldn't play. It became painful for him. And one of the questions is, what sort of exercises and rudiments should he practice to get his speed and his power back up again? Well, again, what's right for one person might not be right for another. But the obvious ones are your singles and your doubles. You know, the more complex rudiments, if you can get them together, that's great. But if you've got your singles and your doubles together, you can do quite a lot. And when it comes to something like that where you are physically impaired, don't try and overdo it. Don't try and play too hard. Don't try and play too fast straight away. Try and think of the music more than the rhythm. And you'll find that some of those things that you are missing probably aren't quite as important as you thought they were. Try being a musician first and drummer second. Be all right. You'll have fun again.